what's going on with the Democrats here? Right, gentlemen? I mean, it's pretty funny. Let's start with the lieutenant governor's race. Look, there were two people in it. Justin Fairfax, who's a beast of a campaigner, young, energetic, African-American, great family, wife is a dentist. He's a lawyer, ran statewide in 2013. I love being with him. His enthusiasm is infectious. I don't agree with him on stuff, but just a great guy. You would think, wow, this is a guy that the Democrats would really want. Right, Andrew? On their ticket, he's got everything going for him.
They
ran in
cleared the
2013
field for him.
And the Gene Rossi's in the race. He doesn't have really a chance in this. So you'd think they'd be excited. Instead, the establishment Democrats have been like scouring Virginia to find somebody to oppose him, and then they finally come up with Susan Pratt, who was Joe Biden's chief of staff, and I think 1969 when the Mets won or something. What is up with this?
They're missing an opportunity, I think, with Justin. Justin is just an engaging campaigner. He's got a great story. He's very personal. He's energetic. He's a fantastic candidate. He's a fantastic general election candidate. He is exciting, and that's tough to find on a down ticket candidate, especially on, I think, the Democratic side. With Eileen Filler-Corn getting out of the race,
right?
It ought to be.
Which, by the way, I predicted.
You did. But Justin seems the natural candidate, somebody that they would want on that ticket. Especially for the Democratic Party, to bring a little diversity. You look at who is at the top of the ticket, whichever one becomes successful, and then where the Attorney General is.
Instead, they come up with Whistler's mother. I mean, I just, I don't get it. It was interesting, and we got a lot to talk about the next hour on the Democratic side, but we went to a couple of the events last night, both Republican and Democratic side, and now that Boyd Marcus and I have embraced the title of old white guy with no hair.
Absolutely, we do.
We're fine with it. We go to these places, there's a lot of old white guys, especially on the Democratic side, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But you look at this Susan Pratt, and it's like they're just searching for somebody that is part of their establishment that they're comfortable with. They don't like Justin Fairfax because they can't tell him what to do. They were mad because he ran in 2013, almost upset the apple cart or whatever. But I, for the life of me, can't figure it out. Now, let me tell you a story about Susan. I had her on my show a couple of weeks ago. We did the round table at Chap Peterson's office, and she got incensed at me because instead of referring to her as a woman, I referred to her as a lady. Now, I live in Virginia. I'm from the South. Chivalry is not dead. What on earth is the matter? How would you be offended by calling someone a lady? How does that make any sense?
It doesn't.
I mean, I've said things I shouldn't have said. There's no question.
Maybe she's got a guilty conscience.
And she keeps mentioning it like, well, John offended me by calling me a lady instead of a woman. And even when she said that, I said to her, well, okay, here's the deal. I stutter. And so there's certain words at certain times I can't get out, so I have to expand my vocabulary. I couldn't get the W out. I mean, who cares? But this is the mindset of that. I don't know what is going on. I don't see this candidacy at all. I love Ben Tribbett, but I don't see it. I don't see how they'll beat Justin. I think it's going to be a blowout.
Well, one of the things Justin was saying last night was that he is going to non-traditional places. He's going to go to Southwest Virginia. He's going to go to Southside. He's going to go to places that Democrats typically don't go, in addition to doing Arlington, Northern Virginia, Richmond, and Fairfax, because he's not going to take any vote for granted.
Well, I think that I've heard expressed, let's say that way, from a number of Democrats before Susan got into the race that what their ticket needed was they wanted a diverse ticket that had a minority on it. But this was pre-election when they were expecting it to be a special election for the Senate going on, and they were expecting Bobby Scott to be that nominee that was going to supply that diversity for their ticket, which they were looking for to help bring out the minority vote, in the general election. I don't know whether but I've also picked up something what you have, which is that there's a number of people in that Democratic establishment that don't really like Justin Fairfax.
They don't want Justin Fairfax.
Yeah.
I mean, they have scoured the earth.
Yeah.
They have scoured the globe for Virginia for somebody to run against him. And the person they come up with, I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
I mean, nice lady, I'm sure, and she's got a great track record, but she represents the past of the Democratic Party, not the future at all. I really, for the life of me, I don't understand it. I really don't. Aaron, what is up with that?
Yeah, I mean, it could be that it's revenge of the liberals. I mean, if you connect the LG's race with the governor's race, it might be that. They thought their ticket was going to be, too conservative, a little too young and energetic, apparently, in the LG's race. And
too young and energetic.
We got to rein these youngins in.
Let's bring in Grandma Whistler.
Yeah.
I just can't. I don't get this at all. But look,
or Grandpa Munster,
or whatever it is that they're trying to do. I don't think. Let's go around the table though and talk about Susan. Pratt gets in. So now there's 3 people running for lieutenant governor on the Democratic side. Former U.S. Attorney in Northern Virginia, Gene Rossi. Justin Fairfax, who ran for Attorney General 2013, almost upset Mark Herring. And now former Joe Biden Chief of Staff, Susan Pratt. Give me your guys' thoughts on who do you think is going to win this thing? Who's ahead now? Let's start with Aaron.
I think Fairfax is going to take it anyway. He's been running for so long, and the late comers to the race are going to be at a disadvantage. And he's got the energy, and he's already run statewide before, even though he lost. But there you go.
I think she's going to attract a lot of the establishment, Hillary Clinton supporters. How she puts that together into a real campaign, I don't know. But I also think that the real wild card here is what's going to happen with the governor's race and the increased turnout. When the only thing that was happening in the Democratic primary was the lieutenant governor's race, whoever ran, it was not going to be a substantial primary turnout. In fact, there'd be a lot of Democrats who come in and vote on in the Republican one because it'd be much more interesting for them. But now that dynamic has changed with the entrance, of Perriello, and he's going to be attracting a whole different set of voters to this primary voting universe, and I think that strengthens Justin Fairfax.
Okay, so you think Susan Pratt gets in, but Fairfax still ahead?
Yeah.
All right. Senator, do you care?
Well, on this one, I think that any good Democrat should come out and vote for Frank Wagner.
Barry, you want to weigh in?
Well, I think it's wonderful that we've got equal candidates on the Democratic side so they can go out there and bring out each other's negatives and give the good Republicans some ammunition to use against them and to deplete their war chest that they may have. So, of course, I'm all in for the Republicans, but if we can have a big brouhaha with the Democrats, suits me fine.
And Andrew, what do you think here?
Barry's right. It's nice to see some internal fighting on the other side for a change. But I think Justin Fairfax has this. I think he has the momentum and the energy. And if you put those 2 candidates side by side, or those 3 candidates, I don't see anything out of Gene Rossi other than Facebook ads. But if you put those candidates side by side, Justin Fairfax is the one that rises above everyone else.
Look, I think if it was not for Ben Tribbett running Susan Pratt's campaign, that Fairfax would crush this field with well over 60%.
Who's helping Justin out?
I don't know. I know his campaign manager, young lady, but with Tribbett running Susan Pratt's campaign, it puts it in play. There's no question about it. And that's the thing that if you're Justin Fairfax, you might give a little thought to. But absent of Tribbett, this thing is a blowout. Fairfax is a beast. I mean, he generates enthusiasm. Even you saw him last night. Okay, he gathers a crowd of people because his infectious enthusiasm draws people to the guy. Right?
It does. And Boyd, you might have a better sense of this. How much money do you generally need for a lieutenant governor's primary? I think Justin was telling us he raised $500,000 last quarter or last year.
Yeah. I mean, I think in total he's got over $1 million.
Well, I think once you're above $1 million, you're getting into the place where you want to be. I mean, you're still not going to be seeing any lieutenant governor candidate run weeks and weeks of ads. It'll be the last 10 days of a primary that you'll see them on TV, other than maybe some cable in isolated places, that kind of thing. But it's, I mean, if he's raising that kind of money, I think that's a great start. But what you also have to look at is, what do the national Democratic groups, do they decide for some reason? Usually on lieutenant governor, they don't play, national groups don't play much for either side. Attorney general usually attracts national money, or can attract national money, but not usually in lieutenant governor.
Well, that's one of the interesting things, because National has gotten involved with a delegate race down in Virginia Beach with Rocky Holcomb. As a matter of fact, his opponent, she got money from all 50 states, and she had campaign workers from across the country. So to say at the national level they don't get involved with lieutenant governors, they normally don't get involved with delegates either, but they did this time.
No, is she the one that had about 2,500 unnamed donors?
Yes.
No, she had 4,500 unnamed donors.
That means that was under $100.
That's right. They all averaged
Which is
about,
a good thing, right?
They averaged about $12 apiece. They had about 12 to 15 cars of folks that came in that had Bernie Sanders stickers and Hillary Clinton stickers, but it just goes to show you that Rocky Holcomb got out. He did a grassroots campaign. He knocked on doors, and he went there. He was a little concerned last night when some of the Democratic precincts were coming in, and he was a little bit behind. But Rocky won by 6 percentage points. Trump won that district by 1.3 percentage points. Gillespie won it by 3 percentage points. And then we had some other candidates that lost the district. So Rocky Holcomb, by grassroots campaigning, outperformed most any candidate that's been there in the last few years that's had opposition.
You just heard from House of Delegates member from the Chesapeake, Virginia Beach area, Barry Knight. You're right. I mean, they were determined to run their campaign their way, which was just, I'm the Republican in a Republican area, vote for me. And they did the work.
That's right.
So
But that
that's
district's
how
not
they
a
were.
gimme.
No.
What?
That district is not a gimme. I mean, that whole area.
Yeah, but I mean, it's done now. I mean, this was the Democrats' final chance to win that district. Scott Taylor ran unopposed in 2015. This was their chance. It was a special. They had a 3-day storm. Schools were out. They had everything going for them. They raised all that money. They had all the volunteers in. They had a very energetic candidate who was a school teacher in the area. They had it all going for them, and they lost. Done.
Same thing the 22nd.
Yeah, it's done. I mean, it's done. You're not going to get a win there.
But on this one, the key to it is you had the National Democratic
Right.
committee coming in and nationally working on a House of Delegates race, which just doesn't happen.
Well, I think what you're going to see
In a embedded minority.
Well, they had a free weekend before they organized the protest next week.
Well, but I do think that what you're going to see, and this is something that every Republican is going to see in this general election coming up, that are all the guys in the House that are having to run, is there going to be Democrat national groups that are looking for a chance to win, and they will win New Jersey on the governor's race. There's no contest there. They'll have their legislatures all Democrat anyway, or mostly. But here in Virginia is where we're the ones with the target on our backs here in Virginia. And I think a lot of the national Democratic groups will be coming in into this set of elections coming up, and because they're fired up, they want to win something back. That's really, and they see it in Virginia with having won for Clinton in Virginia, that they have a chance, and they're looking for that victory, and it's a way to feed their money machines in their liberal organizations, and that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Well, John, when they talk about that, they want to have a win. I can remember when the Obama wave came in and Thelma Drake lost her race.
Right.
And Obama came in, and we wondered, when is the next race that we're going to win in the state of Virginia? I was the first candidate in the state of Virginia to win, and I got 84% of the vote, and the Democrat got 16%. So you always look to see when you can turn the tide. The Democrats have not turned the tide, and let's hope they don't for a while. It took us 30 days to turn the tide on the Republican side.
But on a statewide basis, it's the exact opposite, right? The Democrats have won 7 consecutive races since the last win being Bob McDonnell 2009. And a lot of people I talked to last night, Delegate Knight and Senator Steph, are basically resigned to the fact now that Virginia is a blue state, that there's the math no longer is such that Republican just is going to win statewide.
I won't go that far, John. I think it's time for a Republican turn, and you're going to see it this upcoming gubernatorial election.
Does the nominee matter?
Absolutely. The nominee matters tremendously. Tremendously.
I agree 100% with that. I think that there is a different dynamic in presidential voting than there is in off-year voting, and it helps the Republican. You know, we're stronger in these off-year elections. There's no question about that. But the candidate does make a tremendous amount of difference, because you've got to have some. You know, in the end, you got to have somebody that attracts people. You know, that brings people to the polls, not just is a name on a ballot that you expect everybody to come and vote.
All right, so let's just ask you this. Who do you got? I mean, if the nominee matters for a Republican to win the governorship of Virginia and turn the state back purple, if you will, you got 4 candidates running. I'm going to go around the table, start with Andrew. Who's the best candidate as the nominee that could possibly have a chance to win, regardless of who they face off with on the Democratic side?
Yeah,
One word answer.
Wagner.
Barry?
That's hard. You know, really, Gillespie's run statewide. He's got a statewide organization, but do not underestimate Frank Wagner.
Frank Wagner. Absolutely Frank Wagner.
Marcus?
I'll tell you when we see how they run their campaigns. I believe that running a campaign makes a difference, not just the name who's.
That's fair.
You know.
Aaron?
There's a good chance that if it's Ralph Northam on the Democratic side, the only way you'll beat him is with a stick while he sleeps in his bed. So I don't know.
Wagner. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're at Bill D. Steff's office at the 2017 Open of the General Assembly in Richmond. We're all going to be right back